This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time. Content presented in the following podcast is for information purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guest and may not represent the views and opinions of the Whole Care Network. Always consult with your physician for any medical advice, and always consult with your attorney for any legal advice. And thank you for listening to the Whole Care Network.
The following podcast sometimes offers unusual solutions to usual problems. These solutions are meant for qualified agencies or individuals to put into action. And I'd be willing to bet that's not you. Listen, folks, we don't take ourselves too seriously. Neither should you. So, let's go have a laugh. Welcome to Unscrew It Up. This is the podcast where we offer differently twisted solutions to life's little problems and sometimes not so little problems. Hello, Amanda Wilson.
Hello, Josh.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I am well, too. It is a gray and dreary day. I don't know if it is where our fine listeners are, but we're going to cheer you up a little bit. Amanda, last week we talked about cake, and we said that this week that a lot of cake would come into our lives, and indeed, yes, it has.
So many cakes in this house this week.
It has been so.
Can I tell you how many cakes I ate this week? None. I ate none of the cakes.
What?
Now that's not true. When I was baking the 7-year-old's cake that Friday, so a week or so ago, I tasted some of it while I was baking it, but I managed to stay away from your carrot cake, from the 17-year-old's Princess Margaret cake, from the fully done 7-year-old's cake, from the lovely dark chocolate cake that you bought for the 21-year-old's birthday. I ate no cakes.
How did you manage that? That is an episode or maybe even a podcast series in and of itself. Please share with our audience.
I just was really committed to not eating cake. I don't know. I think I have to approach this healthy eating thing the same way that I approach just being stubborn about other things. Like, I have a really stubborn personality, and it doesn't always work out for the best for our relationship. And so if I just get stubborn about, I'm not going to eat cake, and then it's like, you can't tell me to eat cake. You can bring cake into the house, but I'm not going to eat cake. So I just have to get stubborn about it, I think.
Do I need to try to convince you to eat cake all the time?
That's right. Stop making me eat cake. I won't do it. Yes.
Wow, that is a thing. You know,
Yes.
We can really use that to our advantage, or I can use it to my advantage. Today, Amanda, we're going to talk about
Work.
Now, work is such a huge thing. I'm certain that we could stretch this across an entire podcast. So we're just going to offer solutions to different aspects of work, and maybe we'll come back to it. Now, I would, though, like to shout out our friends Kay and Jay. They have a podcast that just talks about work and people's workplace stories. And so I want to shout them out and have you go listen to them, of course, after you listen to the entire suite of weekly Familiar Wilson's Media offerings. Their podcast is called F My Work Life, except the F is filled in, and this is a clean podcast, so I can't say what it is, but I do believe that by that disclaimer, you now know what their podcast is called, F My Work Life, hosted by Kay and Jay, and everyone has work-life stories. Why don't you send yours in to them, and they'll read it on the air, and they will keep you anonymous if you wish. So we're going to offer some solutions to work problems today. But before we do that, here is the latest from Wilson Technologies. Amanda, what is Wilson Technologies?
I mean, in theory, they're the subsidiary of Familiar Wilson's Media that makes solutions to unusual problem or unusual solutions to normal problems or something. I don't know. But in actuality, they're just the voices in your head.
Yeah, that's right. Wilson Technologies, and I've been workshopping new mottos for them. And the latest motto is Wilson Technologies. We use duct tape on your dreams.
Okay. It's evocative. All right. We'll see how that tests out with the audience better.
Okay, there we go. Well, that's the one that we'll go with until we're told differently. Wilson Technologies, I want you to help save the planet. Now, as you know, we here at the Wilsons, we're really into reduce, reuse, recycle. We're really into taking care of our planet because if for no other reason, we're sick of the weather.
I know. I just want it to be fall.
I want it to be fall, and I want it to be consistent. I don't want it to be going back and forth, which is what it does. So we're going to do our little bit. So this is what I want Wilson Technologies to do. You know, one of the big wastes of material is like single-use paper.
Sure.
Or I guess most paper is single-use, isn't it? Once you write on it, you're done with it.
Unless you just keep writing on top of it.
Well, that is a thing that maybe I can come up with a solution for. But Post-it notes.
We are going to call them sticky notes because it is trademarked and we are not allowed to talk about it.
Okay, sticky notes. And I'll probably have to beep when I said the name as well, so I'll do that. So you've probably heard the beeps. But know that when you hear beep, what I've really said is Post-it notes. I have the perfect solution because I do find them to be useful.
Yes.
I'm still a tactile type of person.
Same.
I get more satisfaction out of dealing with paper or stuff that I can hold rather than digital versions
because they
of stuff.
make digital sticky notes.
Yeah.
It's like an app on your computer and you can
I've seen
stick them. I can't do it. I don't like it.
Well, that's even more messy. It's the worst. But
I'll stick actual sticky notes to my computer.
I've got the solution here.
Okay.
Flavored sticky notes.
Oh, yeah, like the Listerine mint strips that you put in your mouth and they dissolve?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's an even better idea. If you have a note for someone you want them to take care of hygiene, you write, hey, please eat this. And then you just hand it to them right on the note. Or, whatever flavor profile you choose, you deliver the note, you use it on your computer for a certain amount of time. You don't need any more, midday snack.
But
Boom.
you have to have edible ink, though.
If this were last week's episode, this would be
just use cake for notes.
Cake for notes. In fact, I think we did say that. But flavored stick. So I'm thinking like the perfect thing, even visually, for a sticky note: cheese slice.
Okay.
Slice of cheese.
A little bit thick.
Well, whatever. Important note. Or like paper made out of sugar. That's a thing that they use on
sugar
cakes.
Paper is a thing.
Or even like crackers.
Yeah.
Or
crumbs, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But if you want to deliver a specific, like if you're delivering like a good note or a note of praise, then it's like a nice sweet chocolate or vanilla note.
Nice. Okay.
If it's a stern note or a, get your behind in gear type of note, like maybe it's out of jalapeno or even ghost pepper.
Oh, man.
But whatever it is, when you're done with it, you pop it in your mouth. And actually, there's a psychological thing there. You put your to-dos on these paper, and then when you're done, you physically eat it, and you feel like you've accomplished even more.
Right. Well, I mean, the whole saying of when you get really overwhelmed, it's you got to eat the elephant one bite at a time. So you're not eating the elephant, but you are actually eating your task one bite at a time.
Okay, so I just came up with a new idea then, like edible paper in the shape of an elephant with all of your to-do things on it.
And you just rip them off.
And
Instead
you just
of
rip
checking
it off.
you rip off the parts.
That is amazing. I love that. Okay, Wilson Technologies, take our combined wisdom and make it so. But enough of that nonsense. Let's solve the problems of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wilsons will now unscrew it up. Work!
Everybody has to do it.
Most
people have to do it.
We got to do it, and how it's got so many pain points.
I mean, I like work. I tried to be a stay-at-home mom for a little bit. It does not work for me. Then I was a stay-at-home working mom during the pandemic. That also did not work for me. I like work, but I think we can make it better.
Exactly that. Now, the disclaimer here is that Amanda and I both like our jobs.
There are things that can be better about my job.
There are things that can be better about any job, but that's in case there's either HR department listening.
That's right.
I mean, none of these are specifically pointed to anyone that I work at. I'm just putting that out there, truly. But these are just general things that I think are pain points in common in workplaces. It's not going to be all of a sudden I'm going to say, I hate it when Gerald eats my lunch out of the thing, out of the refrigerator. That's my problem to solve.
Right.
But these are general ideas. Now, Amanda, you have quite a few. I have quite a few as well. Why don't you go first? Tell us what you're trying to solve and then how you will solve it. We will narrow these things down to 5 suggestions, and we will forward it along to the people at Pringles.
Why Pringles?
I don't know. I have a feeling that to work at Pringles is a joy. I don't know why. Maybe it's that their potato flavored chips are in the shape of a saddle, and that's just delightful. I don't know, but I am sending these things off to Pringles. If they can figure out how to make their potato flavored chips the way they do and how much I love them, they can sort this stuff out as well.
Okay, I like that you're saying potato flavored chip because I don't know how much potato is actually in that chip. I think
it's probably
like
very little.
Sand dust, sandpaper, sawdust. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. A lot of my solutions come out of the pandemic, right? Because I was at home for 18 months. So I went from being in a classroom for 20 years, which is a very different experience than having a desk in an office to be in because you were constantly moving. And I taught young kids anywhere from pre-K to first grade. So there was no sitting down. That wasn't a thing. I didn't have a desk. I had a teacher table, but we were constantly moving for 20 years of my career. Then I went to an office when I started working in research and was there for 3 years, and then the pandemic hit. And then all of a sudden I was home for 18 months. Now, I was really productive. My whole company we almost tripled in size in the past 3 years. So we were able to really pivot. And a lot of that is because what we do is online learning, and in the world was switching to that way anyway. I'm productive from home, but it was very difficult because there was no delineation of work day and end of work day and then beginning of home time, right? Like you don't come home at 5:00 and get the kids out of the car and start the dinner. It was just, I went from daytime pajamas to nighttime pajamas. Like that was how I delineated my day. Yeah. No, those were the ones I wore the night before. As long as you have on a nice shirt for the Zoom meeting, no one cares what type of yoga pants or flannel pajamas you were in. Anyway, but then we all had to go back to the office, and that was a hard transition. Now we've not transitioned at my work. We've transitioned to 60% in the office, 40% at home, right? Which is still really nice. But there were things that you were able to do at home that you were not able to do when you're in the office. And one of those is if you so chose to have a nap at lunchtime, no one knew. Now I wasn't having these because I was also home with the 3-year-old at the time, who's now 7. But I am, and these exist, but my first solution is, there is that midday lull, you eat lunch, you're sedentary at a desk, you get really sleepy, you can get up and walk around and that helps, you can drink some caffeine and that helps. Other countries have this figured out where they take a midday nap, like everything closes down. So I am suggesting the wide use of nap pods. Now, nap pods are a thing. You can look them up. You can purchase them. They're like tents that go to the office, and people go into their nap pod, zip it up, and have their nap. I work in a cubicle space. When I had a door to my office, I used to, at lunchtime, turn the lights off and do a guided meditation, and that would refresh me. Can't do that anymore because I'm in an open space office concept. So these nap pods, I am suggesting, they're not new, but I am suggesting the widening of using them and normalizing them for the office. We have side offices because we're in a cubicle space area. We have a suite of maybe 5 or 6 little 2 or 3 person offices that have QR codes on the door, and you can just scan the QR code and rent that office for an hour, 3 hours, or a full day. I'm suggesting we do the same thing. QR code nap pods. Oh, can't do it. Josh is having his afternoon nap. I need to book it for later in the day and have like a pre-dinner nap or something.
So this is reminding me of, okay, kids, everyone get out your mats now.
Absolutely.
Imagine opening an office door and there's just a bunch of middle-aged people on little nap pads.
I fully support it.
And there's the one off to the side who won't sleep.
He's just playing with books and puzzles.
That's right.
That was our child who would stay awake during pre-K for all of the nap time and just lay there. And then would come home with all of the school gossip.
Yep.
Because he had been awake during nap time.
Which is a little disturbing when you have a preschooler telling you about, oh, this person broke up with that person. Okay, so nap pods, that's very, very interesting. I think that is a thing that happens in other countries. And I wonder if the folks out there listening, because we do have listeners in other countries, if you have nap pods and like...
Or just even nap time. Do you get to go home and take a rest?
You'd have to have the nap pods in a single room. You can't just have the random pod, like in the middle of the hallway. There's all of a sudden a pod set up.
No, that's what I'm saying. We have these little side offices. You would have like your row of pods, like off to the side.
Okay, because what I'm picturing really is you open the door and it's looking like that scene from the Alien movie with a bunch of the alien egg pods just set up in a wide open space. So
You know, I didn't really think about that, but for 16 years of my teaching career, I was in a pre-K room where we had nap time every day from 1:30 until 3.
Yeah.
And so clearly there's something ingrained in me that
Yes.
I think that nap should be a thing that happens. And there was one time where I came back from Japan and I was teaching, and the jet lag coming back is so much harder than going over. And I would sit down next to kids and pat their backs, and I just full on fell asleep because of the jet lag. And then I would have like kids waking me up to tell me that parents were walking in the door. So
did you fall asleep while sitting up, or were you laying down as well?
I was laying down and patting a child on the back. It was a very, very bad choice. But I think that that's now a core part of my work expectation is to have nap time. 1:30 to 3 every day, nap time.
I can go for that. All right, my first one, meetings.
Yeah, everybody has
meetings. Everyone has them. I don't think that anyone or very few people are really trained how to conduct meetings, how to conduct effective meetings, when to call a meeting and when you don't need to call a meeting.
When you should send an email.
Right, and we'll talk about emails later. But meetings in general are just these out-of-control beasts where they're kind of like the wild lion in the zoo. Okay. Right? There's a person in charge of like feeding them. There's a person in charge of letting them out, but no one truly controls them.
No, and we even try to say, we're not going to have them. We're going to make this block. I have 3 times a week where we have a no meeting block it's for 4 hours. No, I mean, and then inevitably somebody says, I'm really sorry, but I need to schedule during the no meeting block because everybody else's meeting times are full. So no one, and I know you've had this experience too, like we try to protect people against meetings, but it doesn't happen.
That's why you need to have a person in charge of meetings.
Okay.
You need to have a meeting person, right? And first of all, in order to have a meeting, you have to do what contractors have to do in the community if they want to build something. You need to apply for a permit.
I have a meeting permit. Please let me know if
you have to justify the reason for your meeting, and you need to turn in plans for your meeting, and you need to make sure your meeting sticks to those plans.
So that's called an agenda.
Right.
Yep,
but
you
I'm
should
saying,
have that.
Yes. So you have kind of like a meeting czar. That's just their job, is to control the meetings. And it's very well possible that you'll turn in a request for a permit for a meeting and they'll say, no, you've not justified this meeting.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine how wonderful that would feel as a person who's like potentially going to be called into this meeting to find out, nope, didn't get our permits, can't have the meeting. Right. So it's one of those things. And like I said, 3-day notice. And so none of these pop-up meetings, none of these impromptu meetings, which those are really the killers, right? Those things. And then this person is responsible after the meeting to turn in a report, really a report card, like a grade for the meeting but you need to have this meeting czar that they are in charge of properly run meetings. Because guess what? Ain't no one doing it now.
No, I agree with this. And there is actually a training at not my immediate work, but the institution for which I work. There's a training called Making Meetings Work that I am taking next week. I will let you know what I learn. But also,
perhaps you can be the meeting czar for your company.
And then I have a book on my desk that I won at a conference I went to recently called Meeting Design. But one of the things that I am aware of is if you do not have an agenda for your meeting, you do not need this meeting. If you cannot build it in an agenda where here's the discussion pieces, here's what we're going to accomplish in action items, then you don't need the meeting.
Here's the problem, though, with you reading these books and taking this training. You need an unobjective third party to...
Well, I will say, actually, I think that I can be pretty objective about it because I co-lead a very, very, very large project. And we had weekly meetings, and it kept from the inception of it because it was a really giant undertaking. Then it grew, and it was weekly. It was across the center, every team represented. So we had about 30 to 35 people coming weekly for this hour. And the co-lead and I just kind of paused and said, is this necessary? And so we took a poll. We're like, is this necessary to your life? Guess how many people said no. They just wanted project updates. So now we just have a team in Teams, a team channel in Teams where the project updates go. We had to kind of make some side meetings for people that really were did need to meet weekly, but didn't need to meet in a large group. So I do feel like we were able to say, look, this is ridiculous. No one needs to be spending this much time. Let's revamp that.
So maybe, like I said, you need to be the new
I'll be the meeting czar. I'm happy to do that.
Your next one.
Okay. My next one also grows out of the pandemic, and that everybody wants to work from home. We all just want to work from home. Now, there are some people I assume who do not, but most people want to work from home. Why are you shaking your head at me?
Because with the type of job I have, like, I need to be able to work on campus.
Sure.
Like, and I enjoy the collaboration. I really do.
Okay, and that's great. Lots of us though who spend most of our days in virtual meetings. I mean, I go to an office and then meet virtually with lots of people, right? So most of us, I do see the value in the collaboration. And so that's where it's like, okay, we're going to do a bi-weekly in person and everybody comes, or, whatever. But the idea of that is the missed out collaboration, and also the company feeling like, well, we're not putting everybody together. And so I'm suggesting that we have rotating work from home days, and we just all go to each other. So on Monday we go to Josh's house for work, and we all set up at Josh's house. And Josh can, the great thing about working from home is you can get dinner ready while you're working. You can get laundry done while you're working. You can go out and take a walk around the neighborhood. So we're going to do progressive dinners, basically, which is the idea. You go to one person's house for appetizers, and you go to the next person's house for dinner, and the third one for dessert. We're going to do progressive dinners, but work from home days. And it's just going to alternate. We're just all going to go to each other's houses. So we're still together, but we're not having to be in an office and pay for office space, and all of that money can go back in a paycheck.
When I hear progressive dinner, because I've attended more of those than I care to remember, I think, okay, so appetizers at Fran's house, and then we're going over to Freddie's house, and then back over to Alfredo's house. You're not suggesting that during the workday we have the morning stand-up at Frida's house,
no,
and then we go for midday meeting at Alonzo's house.
I mean, this could be a way that maybe that whatever team that is wants to set it up. But I feel like we spend a lot of money on physical space. And so if we're able to keep a team together and just alternate people, and then if somebody doesn't want people in their homes, then they can find an alternative location. We're going to go to the playground and work, or whatever, or the library.
Here's what I'm doing. If the office is using my house for workspace, I absolutely am going to charge them for that time. Okay. So I'm great with this. You want to have people over, but there is going to be a bill delivered to your organization for meeting space. It is happening. Okay. So happily. But the problem with that is that you would be so stressed out as far as like making sure that everything is just so.
Yeah, I would need to make the house. Right.
So, I mean, like I said, if it's a side hustle, I can do that. All right, my next thing is emails.
Yeah.
And I actually have so many ideas for emails. I don't know whether I should give you each idea separately, but ideas for these are necessary because emails are out of control. They just are. And we, at where I work, we just talked about in a meeting, what can we do to get emails under control? Mm-hmm. Now, there are all these automated systems for you to organize your emails, and you can start to have AI respond to your emails. But still, I feel pretty soon we're just going to have AI email account number 1 talking to AI email account number 2. And imagine how many more emails are going to be generated by just the computers talking to each other. What a freaking nightmare. So I just don't think we need this many damn emails. I think that how it should be is that you have an allotment of emails that you are assigned at the beginning of the let's say at the beginning of the pay period, right?
Yeah.
These are free. Any emails you send above and beyond that, you have to start to pay for out of your paycheck, and watch the email volume plummet.
Yeah, because I'm not the problem. Me sending emails is not the problem. People sending emails to me are the problem.
Okay. So what I'm suggesting is that, again, you have a certain number of free emails during the month, and then that is capped.
Yes.
This is not an unlimited plan.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you have to pay for it. So that's my first email solution.
Okay. Are you going to give them separately? Or
I think so. I think you should go next.
Okay. My next one is sometimes there is an issue with people either overstepping the bounds of their role or not fulfilling their role, or there being confusion about whose responsibility something is. Like, well, that's not my department, or a lot of times it's, well, it's not your department, but it's still part of your project. And so there's confusion about
I have a question. So is this having to do with like job description?
Job description, org chart, like kind of like nobody really wanting to own something, especially when you're working across teams. Like you've got one, say you're an event planner, you're planning one big event, but then you've got dining, you've got marketing, you've got contract people, and we're all kind of working on the same event, right? But a lot of times there's a little bit of a gray area of, well, that's not my team, but maybe you have some onus in it. So I am suggesting, and I've actually said this at my work, because we've grown so much that our org chart is constantly changing. I am suggesting, instead of like a static org chart, that you have one of those things that's like a slide puzzle where you have to move the things around to make the picture. And so you might be in marketing one day, but then you've got to go over here and support an event. So we just move you over here. So then there's no longer this, that's not my responsibility, that's not my job.
What you're describing, because I'm seeing it in my head, is a football playbook.
Oh,
you got
you're moving
marketing. X is here, X is here, X is here. Quarterback, like culinary. Y is here, and it just has an arrow. Okay, on Wednesday, you're slotting over into this position.
That works too. Yeah. I was thinking more like on The Amazing Race, where they have to do, or Survivor, they have the big slide puzzles and they have to move everything around to make it be a picture. Well, the picture could be whatever the project is, the launch of this thing. And we have to move the people around until we get the picture. But not a static org chart. We're just going to move some people around.
I got that. That's cool. Maybe it could be a chessboard, actually, now that I think about it. Okay. Excellent. Love that. All right. My next thing is also on emails, and it maybe it slots into the other idea. I don't know now that I think about it. But again, trying to cut down not only on the number of emails, but also on the size of emails. Now, I am guilty of sending out rather lengthy emails because part of my job is, figuring out how to logistically do this or that and then communicating it. But people are not going to read long emails. We get too many of them, and past the maybe second paragraph, people have checked out.
Yep.
So I propose, in order again to facilitate more efficient communication, a character limit, just like Twitter used to have on your emails.
You have to really think about what you want to say.
You really do. And perhaps you're going to have to use emojis. I don't know. That might have to be acceptable in business communication now. But we need to cut down on these really long emails. If you need to send a long email, then maybe just figure out a different way to communicate what you need. Because no one has time for that. Period. No one has time for that.
I think they should make a flip book.
What does that mean?
The where you draw all the the pictures, and it just changes a little bit at a time, and you run the flip book, and it's like a little animated thing.
Yeah.
So I think they need to spend all of the energy they would have spent writing this really long email and drawing this stick figure that asks for whatever it is that it needs, and then it's a digital flip book.
Going to the idea of football, though, maybe...
I didn't say football.
No,
I said
but
flip book. You
I know.
said football.
I'm
before.
thinking of football from before, and then the idea of flip books. You know how quarterbacks have those things on their armbands where the coach will call out blue 57, 29, frog, and then the quarterback will look and see what each of those means. Maybe we need that. Maybe each company needs to have a book to interpret really short emails, if it's a chain of commands or whatever, so that frog 7, 21, Idaho means that I need to get the report to Mr. Johnson by next Tuesday or whatever it is. But some way for us to cut down on just the amount of words. Too many words.
So what I hear you saying is being able to sort through that to what is my actual task? What is this
what is
me?
The point? Yes. And oftentimes what you'll see is people sending an email to 12 people, and each person has their own little section that they're supposed to own. Now, I understand there's supposed to be a benefit to that, but also I think on the other side of it, it's figure out a different way to communicate all this so that I don't need to dig through and find my bit of a 14-paragraph thing.
Yes.
So, character limit is what I'm proposing.
So, I have something that might be a little bit of this might be a practical thing that we can give to people on the podcast if this is an issue. You use Outlook, right?
I do.
Do you employ Viva Insights?
I do not like Viva Insights.
Oh, really? Because I do.
Yes, because it's just another person telling me what to do.
Well, no, but it's lovely because it'll sort through your emails. It'll find your to-dos from it. So here's the thing. If you use Outlook, you should have up in your toolbar something called Viva Insight. However, here's the trick. You have to have an actual email open to be able to click on it. If you don't, if you're just looking at your inbox, it'll be grayed out. You have an actual email open, click on Viva Insights, and then it goes through your inbox and it will pull meetings from it and say, here are all the meetings, and you can resolve them. It'll help you plan your time away. You do your your out of office messaging, and it'll sync with your calendar. It will also find to-dos from emails, and it'll say, it looks like this was addressed to you, and then you can open it up. And how do you not like this? It's a filtering aspect for your emails.
This sounds too intensely practical for this podcast. Move along.
I'm trying to give the people a little bit of something they can use right now while they're waiting on the Pringles people to do the rest of the things.
What's your next thing?
My next thing is I think that we need to do away with set work hours.
Okay, done. I agree. Next. Perfect.
Okay.
No, I love that.
Now I understand there are hourly things that, it's retail, it's food service, things are open for a certain period of time. So that's going to be time bound, right? But if you are working and your job is more task oriented or project, whatever oriented, just let me do my job in the time that it takes me to do my job. And then if I get that done in 4 days, then I get a 3-day weekend. If I get it done by 3:00, then I can be done. Like I just think the set work hours it doesn't trust me to be an actual competent human and do my job in a way but maybe you need to earn that. Maybe you need to, hit certain benchmarks to be like, okay, you've proven to us, you've done X many deliverables or whatever, that you can do your job. And so then you get to do your job with no set work hours. If you start not meeting your deadlines, then that privilege gets taken away from you. But I think that we should just, if you have a task-oriented job, you should just be allowed to work your week, your days, your hours just to get your job done.
And if you work in the gig economy or if you work remotely, this is life. That's how it works. Now, the disadvantageous part of that is I had to think through that word. The not good part of that is, I'm going to leave that in just, because I am perfect, is that could lead to abuse. If you don't have set work hours, that means that you're available all the time, which means that you're getting calls in the middle of family time. And it's like, where's this project? Well, can I please hang out with my family? No, you wanted non-set work hours. So
then you have certain hours of the day that you can communicate, and then that's okay.
Yeah, this idea needs a little tweaking there, but anyway. Okay, so my next one. Mm-hmm. Bosses.
We all have them unless you are them, and then your stakeholders.
Everyone has a boss, no matter what. Everyone has a boss. Couple things here. Well, first of all, transparency. Transparency is big as far as I'm concerned with, the further you get up in the hierarchy, it seems like the more maybe nebulous your job description is, or maybe, what does this person do all day? Do they just sit around on their computer? I think the higher up the ladder you go, the more transparent you have to be. It's mandated for you to be. So much so that if you're on the tippy top, you have basically a fishbowl office that you can see what's happening in there at all times, and your computer screen is projected onto a big screen in the lobby.
I like it. I support it.
Transparency. So many abuses. And we have these CEOs these days earning sick amounts of money.
So much, yeah.
Are they earning it? Or is what's the point?
I don't know.
Why is that so? And so if you're accepting a salary that is just so many times more than the people that you supervise, then your responsibility is to let those people know that you're earning your money. Mm-hmm. And that means that you need to be more transparent. Sorry about you. You know going into it that this is how it's going to be.
Yeah, I support that.
Fishbowl office, the contents of your work phone. Anyone could ring into your voicemails to listen to it. Screen in the lobby or maybe on the outside of the building.
This is just billboard.
Yes.
Jumbotron.
Perfect. Yes. Oh, wait. What is he doing on, Wordle or whatever? So, So there you go. The utmost in transparency.
I like it. All right. This is my last one. And it addresses hiring, which is, I know that you and I both are involved in, and it's one of those things where people can interview really well, but we've even gone to giving people tasks to do, right? So I'm a writer. One of the tasks is, you need to create this handout or whatever so that I can see, it's basically like bringing a portfolio, but you can't always do that. And sometimes I think a lot of effort is misplaced when people are not suited for the role that they're in. Even if they've been there a long time, we're not always using people to the best of their ability or their talents. And so then that just causes them to be frustrated. It causes the organization to not be as productive because we're trying to fit people into open spots that we have, or, you're growing and then you don't have somebody, so you shove somebody over here, and it's creating problems. So either hiring or, using people to the best of their ability to serve the organization. I think this is the best solution, the sorting hat version of hiring. So for all of you Harry Potter fans, when they show up at Hogwarts, they put the hat on them and the hat goes, Slytherin or Slytherin. Slytherin is Slenderman.
First of all, you have Yoda on their heads.
Okay, so whatever. It's fine. Come back. But, you put it as, marketing is good for you. I know you think that you're, I know you think you want to be a comms person, but really you're a data person. Like, it will just let you know, like, instead of us trying to figure out people's skill sets and how it best meets the need, we just have the sorting hat you put on their head when you onboard them, or even when they come in for an interview, really, if you're filling a position. And then it shuffles people around where they need to go. I don't know why you're looking at me like this. I think it's a
just
brilliant
don't know
idea.
how that would work. I mean, I'm taking the magic part and the animated hat aside, right? Let's just take that as read that that's possible. You have an event where you're hiring for a position. Let's say you want to hire a marketing director. You have a bunch of people come in and you put the hat on their head and it says, dining director. Yeah. But you don't have that position open, so they just go away, right? So you're saying that the sorting hat is going to filter them from even applying.
Yeah, because if they're not suited for it, then they're not suited for it.
Okay, but that's not what you said. You said hire them and then put the hat on them.
Okay, well, fine. I said that wrong. So, but then this is also a service you're giving them, because you're saying, hey, look, I know you're trying to be a marketing person. Really, you're really suited for dining. So go out there and fill in all the Indeed.coms or whatever for dining stuff. Like, we're giving them, sorry, we cannot hire you, but we have now, instead of you sitting through a battery of tests to figure out what your aptitude is, we're telling you the magic has done its work,
and then we charge them for the session.
Oh, they came in to interview, and so then that's what they get. You got to do preliminary interviews in which you do background checks, and you ask them, like, how would your boss rate you on a scale of 1 to 5 or whatever the dumb questions that everybody asks, and find out if they're like a capable human of like answering these questions. Then, and maybe it only works when you have several positions open. I don't know.
Or starting a company.
Right.
Okay, well,
whatever,
I put that on the list.
It's brilliant, and I don't care what you say.
It's incumbent upon the magic of the sorting hat.
Listen, I believe in Pringles.
Okay, so here we go. We have 9 things. I'm going to read through them right quick, and you're going to
tell you which one's going through first.
Okay, well, just as a reminder, we have nap pods at work. We have the meeting czar. We have the progressive work place thing. How to work? Yeah, what do you call that?
Alternative work location.
Okay, sure. Progressive work. We have your email capped, and let's combine a couple of them. So your number of emails you can send is capped, and also there's a character limit to what you can do. Okay, so that'll just be one. There is a playbook, like a football playbook, to define roles that's constantly updating.
We don't need that because we have the sorting hat.
Okay. There are no set work hours.
Like that.
There is CEO total transparency with them living in a fishbowl. And then we have the sorting hat. Which one are you picking first?
I am picking... Actually, I'm going to pick total transparency because I think if we start making changes at the top, it'll affect organizational health.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
like that.
not that I think, even though we do talk about CEOs, and this is not my experience or your experience, but out in corporate America, CEOs that are out there just like out there for themselves making insane money. That's not even really where I think that I do think this is important, but also with bosses who are heads of things who really, really mean well, but wind up being in more of a political role where they start saying, yeah, we can do that. Or yes, we have that. And that's not necessary. That filters down to the people who actually have to have that or do that.
Yeah. And
it becomes now on them to figure out how to do that when they weren't set up for that. This way, it kind of mitigates some of that, where you start to see, a promise come across the Jumbotron and somebody runs up to the top office and says, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Can't do that.
That's not at R&D yet. Stop telling people we got that.
All right. So CEO transparency, and I would pick that as well. The meeting czar. We need to have a meeting czar.
Yep.
Complete with pre-meeting permits and then post-meeting breakdown and training.
I will then, on the heels of that, I think to be more effective would be the email solutions too. So you're cutting down on your meetings and you're also cutting down on the number and the depth, or not depth, the whatever. How do you say that? The length,
depth, thickness. I don't know what we're talking about.
Girth.
All right. So next, I guess I would take the progressive workplace, moving around, especially if I get to charge rent.
Okay.
All right, we have one more that you can choose.
I mean, I really love the sorting hat, but I understand that it's not that practical. So I'm going to go with no set work hours. Just let me get my job done in the time that it takes me to get my job done.
All right, great. So this is what the workplace, according to the Wilsons, if you come to work at familiar Wilsons Media or Wilson Technologies, this is what's going to be like. First of all, the CEOs, Amanda and I, are going to work in a fishbowl. You'll be able to see everything that we do, probably a little bit too much information, but that's okay. Amanda will be the meeting czar, and she will make sure that everything is taken care of pre, during, and post. According to Amanda, you can work any damn time you want to work as long as you get your stuff done. And also, while you do that, you can move from house to house. This is a ridiculous workplace. And don't you be sending too many emails or make them too long, because we will not have that here at the Wilsons. All right, folks. So I would say that our work life is
unscrewed.
If you have a problem you would like for us to solve, if you are in HR, now that you hear and you've seen how good we are at resolving workplace things, then email us at unscrewitup@gmail.com. All right, Amanda, I think that we've unscrewed everything that we can unscrew, and we better stop.
That's, good. I fixed it all. Done.
The corporate headhunters are going to be out for us, trying to hire us away, and our LinkedIns are going to be so huge, and we're going to challenge Gary V for the top spot at how to work and all this. It's going to be great. We are a part of the Whole Care Network, which is a network of people and resources and podcasts that focus on taking care of caregivers, people who care for loved ones. And so go to thewholecarenetwork.com and peruse the assortment of resources available to you. All right, Amanda, for this week, that's all. What do you think?
I think that I need to start implementing these tomorrow.
Excellent. Do it. What, you're going to start with the no set work hours tomorrow?
Yep. Not having them.
All right. Well, whatever you do, just make sure.
Don't screw it up.
Bye.
Bye.